Good morning. It's 5:49 a.m. Yeah, it's I'm sorry, February 11th. I just woke up about 20 minutes ago. My son is getting ready to go to work, and I've been like up off and on in at night thinking about I understand that my son and I we don't talk about this issue because it's something that I believe the kids of 533 as well as the Collins instructed him never to talk about. But today, I just let him know that these people, and I refer to them as these people, they're not my family. And nor do I feel any connection to them. And I know that what they did, they took liberties that they should not have. And I do see that I let my son know that they're not, they made this a covert program and made it so that he can't really discuss anything. But I let him know that I'm aware of what they did and the problems that they caused. And I let him know that I feel bad that he has to suffer for something that he should not have done. I do not regard these people as my family. That goes for the kids of 533, especially the Collins family. And I don't really feel as though my son should have to feel an obligation to feel any sort of association with them either, if that is his choice, especially since he's over the age of 18. Now, I woke up around, well, I get up, in the middle of the night sometimes with these deep thoughts because, you know, um, I am angry that somebody wanted to pair me with Bruce, okay? Especially seeing as how everybody in this community knew that Bruce was attacking my career, okay? One thing you do not ever attack, you do not ever attack my career, ever, okay? And it is unforgivable. I will not ever want to feel Bruce near me. I would never want to have any respect for him. He is somebody that I believe if he's not dead, he should be dead. The message I'm getting right now is that I am of royal descent. People do acknowledge that. And see, it's not, I think maybe Bruce's family made a big deal out of it because, there are some people who have royal titles that live a certain way, okay? And like I said, I don't have the resources to live that way, nor do I want to have a certain, protocol or association with certain things that the Collins family may have revered or has respect for, okay? I don't agree with, people, this whole cloning program to where you're set up in a fake family or anything. I don't see anything dignified or respectable about it. And therefore, I look at my royal lineage as just an explanation that explains maybe my eccentric behavior, maybe some of my tastes that I have. But other than that, I really don't see what the big deal is. Okay. So, the Collins family as well as the Gordon family, I want to make it very clear here in Bakersfield and everywhere else that there is no connection. When it comes to my father, why somebody would want to bring my father back from heaven is absurd. Some people want to do it because they want to see this person, how far they will go in life or how they would progress in life or whatever. My father is at peace in heaven. And when it's my time to go, I choose to be in heaven. I don't believe in cloning. Okay. So the message I'm getting right now is, I'm trying to figure out how I could have new beginnings because I feel as though so much has been taken out of my life. I have suffered for things that I should not have suffered for. At this point, I'm already in my 50s and I want to live to the best of my ability. The message I'm getting right now is something about me being recorded in history. I don't know how that all that works, and chances are, if I am going to be recorded in history, I will not live to see it. Okay. So I do write things like the Swan Song Manifesto, and it is something that I choose to leave here on the earth, because I find being a part of a cloning program as well as a underground crime program that people had surrounded me, and then we had the Collins family, destroying my life. as well as the Gordon people and all this other stuff. Okay. That whole thing was very disturbing that happened in my life. Okay. I don't make a big deal out of my royal ancestry. So I feel as though, the people or the assumptions that people were making about me being royal or whatever was over the top. I am not associated with any religion. Some people might look at me as eccentric, but I have my spiritual views and I'm comfortable where I'm at. The message I'm getting right now is that people look at me as somebody who is enlightened. Also, my son is on my side. He does not talk about this, but he is on my side. I do believe that he feels as though the Collins as well as the Gordons have taxed him and pushed him over the edge and made him feel obligated to do things that he did not want to do. Okay. And right there is, that's something that I've always wanted my son to avoid. Don't get me wrong, life is filled with things that you sometimes have to do. Okay. But, I never wanted my son to be associated with a family group that is going to sit here and pin him and try to make his life goals a part of theirs or force him into some sort of situation to where he feels like he can't be who he is. And I dreaded being a part of this network. It has been a nightmare for me. I wake up in the morning and I just feel lost, like empty and completely drained. And what else is, I want to live a full life, the best life I can before, the end of my life. And I feel as though they've taken so much already. I would have never allowed myself to be a part of their network. I would have never, agreed to it. I don't agree to it. I'm angry. Also, I find it very obnoxious what Bruce did about the Swan Song Manifesto. Him trying to dictate instead like rules. It's beyond offensive. It's like I look at Bruce as like this big pig, like this selfish person that comes into my life for no apparent reason. Right, wants to critique the things that I do. I don't believe in that his ideas, suggestions. I don't believe in his path. I don't believe in any of his stuff. And then he wants to sit here and direct my Swan Song Manifesto, right? And then it's like he didn't belong in the first place. He should have never been a part of my life in the first place at all. And I'm beyond pissed off that I don't want my name associated with the Collins in any way, shape, or form at all. At all. You know what I mean? And no, I'm not going to marry this person. I would never hope to, nor do I have anything to do with Sarah or any sort of drama with them. Anything, okay? I don't have anything to do with anything like that. When it comes to me being royal and my lineage, like I said, I leave it at that. It is not that important to me. It is important, right? But it's not where I feel as though I don't ride around in limousines. I don't do any of that. So, it's like, it's just one of those people that have that sort of stuff in their background. And like I said, I've met people like this before and I don't really see where it's that big of a deal. Okay. I choose not to, I will never get married. Okay. I will never get married. And apparently my son chooses that path as well. You should have just, it's our business. It's our business. Okay. And the reason why we don't get married is we have good reason to. I have not been treated fairly in this community. Okay. There was a woman who made a fabricated lie about me, okay, and had full participation of this community without question. Okay, if I'm supposed to be able, if I deal with that sort of stuff in my life, why in the world would somebody want to create more offspring? No, I don't. And don't get me wrong, if I was in an environment where I could raise a family and have a life that's conducive, like knowing that I could raise up children and they're going to work for employers that are going to be decent, like life is going to be fair and in plentiful and able to prosper. Of course I would continue my family line, but I choose not to do that and I don't feel guilty about my decision. It needs to be respected, and people need to mind their own business. And I do believe that people were taking. See, this is what I hate about this particular group. They take it upon themselves to put people in situations that they don't want to be. in. And I don't know how they sit there and use logic to where they feel comfortable doing that. I would never feel comfortable about imposing my view on another person, making my other person, people's lives uncomfortable for my own well being. I would never do something like that. Okay. But I understand that my son is very resentful for the situation that he's in. And see, unlike my son, I'm somebody who articulates what I truly feel. Okay. And I would never want to have anything to do with the Collins family at all, nor do I want them associated with my projects. Do not ever touch my things, ever. Okay. Especially with Bruce and his shitty attitude. And I feel a lot better now that I said that, even though it was something very small. Okay. And I let my son know the same thing. You know why? Because he should not have to feel like his life is backed up to the wall because he's dealing with irate people who initially took the stance of giving me nothing but disrespect. And then when they find out that I really am somebody, then they're like, oh, well, we want her to be a part. And the answer is no. Stay the hell away from me. It's you don't get to sit here and disrespect me and then find out, oh, really, she truly is a chosen one. And then they want to act like, oh, well, we care about you now. It's like I saw your true colors and I will never forget them. Leave me alone and don't ever bother me again. Period. Okay. And when it comes to my son is a free person. He has the right to do whatever he wants to do as well. Okay. I would never want my son to feel obligated or to be associated with his family. I never wanted my son to live that kind of life. The message I'm getting right now is that there is support coming from everywhere. I don't see it. Okay. I only see people who want to friend me on Facebook. I am not aware of, because like I'll release a Swan Song Manifesto newsletter and I don't get comments or feedbacks on it. Okay. And what I would like to do is get feedback, participation in it. I did send out some questions for the questionnaire. I want my newsletter to be a fully active newsletter, to where, I communicate with people. Okay. And I know that Sarah was telling people not to communicate with me. That is rude, crude, and outright evil. Yes, I am royal. So what? I'm royal, of royal blood. Okay. So maybe she thought, well, because I'm royal, I'm supposed to have some sort of. Number one, Sarah, I would have never been involved in a network, any sort of association with Sarah. So whatever Sarah said, it gets negated. Why? Because I would have never appointed anyone, especially an ex of a uh, uh, spouse or girlfriend of an ex, okay, in my career. That is the stupidest thing that anybody could ever do, and dumb and absolutely retarded for anybody in this community to think that I would be okay with that. Okay. So, no, I'm a free person. I do things on my own. Now, I would have never, let me get my first sip of coffee in the morning. Okay. I would have never allowed Sarah to touch my stuff. Okay. I would have never allowed anybody to handle my stuff. You know what I mean? I would have never said, hey, I need you to do this. I was somebody who was creating my own content, producing my own content, and releasing my own content. It was very simple. The format is very simple of the Swan Song Manifesto. It is not something that, is orchestrated or created, or I don't have, additional collaborators to where, like, it's run by a big corporation or anything like that. It is a one woman show. Oh, excuse me. I write about, things that I'm going through, things I discover, things whatever, and I attach it to the description box in my videos each quarter. Okay. And so things do not need to be, I don't really want it to be a formal magazine. I want it to be a very direct, sincere message coming from me, the person who was cloned, the person who was the clone of a significant people such as King Solomon. And I look at CB Berganza as the greatest person that I have ever discovered in my life. I love him. I love CB Berganza. So, and this is something that I do on my own. Okay. And, so, I know there was a girl who sent me a preliminary, something about, the, she sent me a preliminary or something. I could not open it, but I'm just saying is, I understand some people want to protect their identity and their comments and stuff like that. I'm not somebody who is wanting to deal with any major legal issues. So if you are somebody who wants to be interviewed with me, see, I'm the kind of person I don't have any problem throwing my entire life out. Why? Because not that I want to, but see, they did things behind my back like this network, okay, which we know is comprised of the Collins and the Gordon family. There was a lot of rumors circling around me. I would have never wanted any of that kind of attention on me at all, okay? Because, like I said, I moved here to this community just to find a decent job, to raise my son, and have a decent little life, like a small little decent life. Okay, and then we dealt with the Gordon family, and the Collins collaborate. They had no right to do that. And I want to make it very clear, do not ever instruct my son to do anything that he does not ever want to do. I do not want my son ever feeling that he's obligated to be a part of this family. I do not acknowledge it as a family, and my son has the right to walk away from the Collins anytime he wants to. Okay, so it's important for me to say that. I never wanted my son to feel subjugated or bullied or restricted or feeling like he hates his life. And this is all the Collins has created for him. I hate these people, and I regret every day that they've been in my life. Okay. So anyway, I would have never allowed Sarah to be, and it's not because I have something personally against her anyway, because I don't even know this woman. Like I said, I don't even know what she looks like. I've never met her. Okay. It's just there's a certain pecking order or certain formulation of relationships that I believe combination wise is asking for trouble. Okay. So, if I was to launch a company or product or something, okay, and I would be the one who chooses is going to be on my team, I would be the one who would say, if I wanted a network, I would select the kind of people. See, it seems moronic that I would just be okay with Bruce coming in, telling me how to do my stuff, and then him bringing his wife in. You know what I mean? I feel so beyond like disturbed. Like, how in the world did somebody even think that that was a good idea? That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Okay. Absolutely not. Okay. Absolutely not. Okay, the Swan Song Manifesto, as well as Gordon's Occupational Engineering, is run by me, 100% by me. And the message I'm getting right now is that I am known as being an ancient, mysterious soul. Yes, I've been cloned before. Okay, that does not mean that I'm a human. I have every right to have my own things and own my own things. Now, I believe that because they were of this particular religion, they wanted to, uh, make me be a part of the religion and everything else. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm disgusted by their religious views, and I'm angry because they tried to impose the religion on me. I hate you, whatever you were trying to do, and leave me alone, and do not ever bring that shit to me or my son ever again. Ever again. Okay, we're not religious, and just drop it. Okay. Yes, really. Yes, I do understand that reincarnation could occur in natural birth, and I do understand that the person that Houston was in his past life may have been associated with a religion. It has never occurred to him to be a part of that religion in this life. Drop it. Okay. The message I'm getting right now is people are researching me, I guess, and talking about me, whatever. This has been speculated many, many years ago, I believe. So whatever's going on, it doesn't have the importance to me that people want to give it to me. I mean, I'm trying to carve out my own path, and I'm angry that people got involved in it. Okay, I'm beyond angry and I do believe, if there's any Collins family alive today, they know full on that I resent having anything to do with them. Do not associate yourself with me. Do not identify yourself with me. Leave me alone, and leave my son alone. The message I'm getting right now is that my son is safe, and he also hates you too. Okay. And, did you really expect us to be okay with your abuse? We're not okay with your abuse. Okay. And I know some of these people are dead. The message I'm getting is, yes, marijuana is legal. I don't appreciate their tactics. You know what I mean? I resent it was improper for the Collins to have anything to do with my life, especially when Bruce got married. Okay. And the message I'm getting right now is that I am respected and in good standing in my community. Be that as it may, I want to make sure you never bother me again. I mean, I want to make sure that it is the end of you. I will never have any sort of communication with you. I do not want to be associated with you on any level. And I worry about my son and I want to make sure he's free too. Okay. I just want to make sure that we're done with you guys. Okay, I don't want my son ever feeling like, his time belongs to somebody else, or that, just stay the fuck away from us. And my son knows it too. He feels it too. We resent it. We didn't ask for it. We hate it. Okay, I hate it. And I know my son hates it too. Okay. The message I'm getting right now is that I am the dark and the light and the balance of what is truly right. And that my father is going to be in heaven and he waits for me. Also, people do recognize that I live a wholesome life and they know that I'm not responsible for any of this. Okay. I want to make it very clear, the Swan Song Manifesto is owned by me. I do not ever want my name recorded in history as having anything to do with Bruce Collins, other than the truth. Bruce Collins was a criminal and he abused me, and that's exactly what I want recorded. The message I'm getting right now is that there is a better way, and people do believe in my view of the New World Order. And yes, what I talk about improving law enforcement, that is exactly what needs to happen. Society is very slothful. That is my main reason why I don't want to ever come back, nor do I want any of my offspring to be here on this earth. It is garbage. Okay, the message I'm getting is that there is peace in heaven. Okay. No, the earth is a bad place to be. And I was going to get very dark about what I was talking about in the Swan Song Manifesto. Hang on a second. Oops, okay, I'm sorry about that. I had to pause this because I ended up accidentally dropping my coffee on the floor. So I had to go ahead and get myself another cup and then also, of course, clean up that big mess. So what I was talking about was my disappointment in the formulation of this particular group, the network, and then them trying to force me into an association with them. We resent it. We don't want to have any sort of thing to do with the Gordon and the kids of 533 as well as the Collins clan. And yes, when it came to the Swan Song Manifesto, of course I'm angry. I don't like people touching my things. And this isn't about arrogance or anything. It just makes total sense. I had noticed in when I first made my Dark Desert Moon channel back in 2008 that I had a lot of subscribers, and then I know that my current YouTube channel unfortunately has been manned by the Bakersfield employers, which have caused me significant problems, and they have made it so that it has limited my social life, to where I'm not getting the viewers that I should be getting, and I'm not really hitting the audience that I really wanted to hit. Okay, I know that they had tried to shape this into a religious issue, and it has been a nightmare for me. Okay, but I want to make it very clear, I am not associated with the Collins family. I'm tired of people thinking that it's okay to try to put this whole issue together. My son also feels the resentment of it. We came here, I moved here by myself, me and my son, and I function by myself. When I look for work, I look for work by myself. I don't sit here and and I resent, I've been getting some intuitive messages that people are trying to force my son into some sort of marriage. Now, like I said, I don't know if it's a girl that came over here a couple of weeks ago or months ago, or if it was to Sarah himself. And like I said, I want my son to live the life that he wants to live. Okay. And this was something that I felt when I first gave birth to him. I want my son to live his life. Okay. And I do think my son should be warned that sometimes people will try to impose their views on other people. They do not have the right to do that. I want my son to make the best life decisions that he should possibly be making. Right now, me and my son, we are living together, and I look for work. And I know that they put him in a situation where he's sitting here paying all the bills. And, the message I'm getting right now is that something about this was done by the network. Stay out of our life. We don't need you making decisions for it. You have caused so many problems in our life. That's none of your business. We don't want you to be a part of our life. Okay. We don't want you trying to instruct our life or trying to make decisions for it. There was nothing wrong with how we lived our life to begin with. Okay. The message I'm getting right now is like, and there isn't anything wrong with the way that we live our life. When it comes to my son, I want my son to, if he chooses to get married, then he should get married to a woman who is going to exude the kind of qualities that is going to give him a better life. That's it. Okay. Period. That's it. And if not, then don't even bother. You know what I mean? But my thing is that I would not want to be. I need to be stable for my son to have his own life. And I didn't appreciate what the community was doing and causing me problems, and intertwining my goals with Bruce's family or anyone. Okay, the family, the community needs to understand I'm by myself. I don't have associations. I didn't appreciate the bullying that I had to deal with. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything to Sarah. I feel as though I was dealing with a schoolyard bullying situation that was highly racially charged. And what's even more offensive, I don't even know who Sarah is. So, when I look for work because obviously I'm somebody who needs to support myself. And I do not want to support myself. Um, how can I say that? I want to support myself, and then I want my son to be able at one point to be independent on his own. And this is why it's like, well, he can't really think about marriage or anything like that when he's put in a situation that he has to take care of his mom, and that was done by the network. The network. I was right when I said that Houston was not going to benefit by knowing the Bruce's family. Okay, I knew that they were never going to be any good to him, and sure enough, he at 32 years old, I feel as though they set his life back because you can't really. And I appreciate what he's doing. And if he wants to live with me forever, that's his choice. You know what I mean? Because some people, it's really about how you're going to progress in life at your comfort level. If he feels as though getting married and taking care of a family is too much for him and he's not going to be able to handle it, then that's a decision only he knows. Some people they understand that they don't have what it takes to be a family person. Like for example, I talked about Andrea Yates. Okay. Andrea Yates. Now, she was the one who ended up killing her kids. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think that that's right. But, she had expressed going through severe postpartum depression. She had issues. She talked about, she was at breaking point. Basically, she was not somebody she felt as though needed to have any more kids. But guess what? Outside pressure, people, wanting to impose their views on her, they broke her back is basically what they did. The message I'm getting right now is that yes, reincarnation can happen by natural birth. So if they were trying to put my son in a situation that you were out of line, that is not your place to try to enforce your views or bully people into a situation. And then if they naturally resist, then you want to sit here and try to, penalize them for not wanting to go along with a plan, a goal, or scheme that wasn't to their highest good, nor was it something that they naturally planned for themselves. So the community does things that are very improper. They do a lot of stuff, because they're intertwined with each other, or they might have formulated networks of friends or whatever. Do not do stuff like that. Leave people alone, okay? People have enough issues in their life, and we don't need your garbage. We don't need it, okay? I don't think it's a good idea to sit here and try to, obligate my son. I know that girl that came over, I would never respect her and never welcome her into my family. She is rejected. She was rejected the minute I saw her. The message I'm getting right now is that yeah, the community has a very big problem of understanding and respecting people's boundaries, and I'm not interested in people who want to cross over those. I'm being saying this respectfully because you've caused nothing but problems. Believing that people who are adults are indebted to other adults, or you don't understand the law, or you want to use made up religion as you go along, and you have caused nothing but problems. And this includes Sarah and the people who were working underneath her. That would be the Collins and some of the people like I met, like Alita and all these other people. Okay. I would have chosen to have left these people in behind. I do not want to be associated with them on any level. The message I'm getting right now is that people do recognize my use as marijuana at this point as something that I pretty much use for sleep and depression. Yes, I would say this is true. Marijuana doesn't have the same euphoric effects that it used to have on me as an adult, as a child, or a young person. So I do know that I suspect, I should say, that marijuana that is being produced now is not quite the same as the illegal marijuana that was purchased back in the 90s. Okay, so there might be, some differences in strains or whatever. I am not somebody who is familiar with the chemical makeup of all marijuana strains, so I'm not going to go into it, but I do think that there has been some sort of change in that, whatever makeup of it. So I don't feel that same way, but it does help me relax. I do deal with depression. I deal with depression, anxiety. It is not normal or right for what the community did as far as collaborating and using my son against me. Okay, that is something I do not forgive. Okay, you do not use other people's family members to spy on you, or spy on an individual. The message I'm getting right now is that everyone in the community knows they are responsible for what happened. Everybody knows that. Everybody was instructed. Everybody attended meetings. People were communicating about. See, and what? Why were they communicating about me? See, all of this was based on a hate crime. Period. Okay. Sarah had. I have nothing to do with Sarah. Okay. The other issue is that I am an ancient, mysterious soul. Yes, I am a cloned individual. That means that throughout the centuries, they would bring me back continuously. Okay. But at the same time, there's a lot of clones that integrate in society that you would not be able to identify just by looking at in a crowd. And, by highlighting that issue, especially, not only did you highlight it, you persecuted me for it, for stuff that I didn't even know what was going on. And it's that reason why I struggle to forgive, and I will not forgive that issue. Why? Because, like I said, it's like, all of this was going on, and then you're creating an environment of suspicion within my own family unit, because apparently my family's supposed to know this about the apparition and everything else. What Bakersfield community has done to me has been a disservice. Okay, and I have been abused in this issue. Do not ever try to conduct any covert information or things out on by using other family members. You do not do that. That causes disrespect. It causes distrust. It causes division. Okay, and I deserve to have a family. The message I'm getting right now is that yes, my predictions of those who died is accurate. Okay, and like I said, I don't ever want to be associated with anything that's stupid. I would have never been involved in a religious war if people were upset. And see, like I said, it is all the community's fault, all of it. Okay. The number one issue is I've come to know is that I was stalked by Bruce Collins. So number one, that who's to blame? Bruce Collins. Bruce Collins, as well as the kids of 533, are the main perpetrators in this issue. Okay. Sarah Collins, okay, was just somebody who I would say was this accelerator of it, because she's a jealous woman, and she probably felt threatened because, I was with Bruce many, many years ago. I don't know her. I didn't even need to know her. All she was a jealous woman who had an association with Bruce. In many ways, I can understand it because I don't belong in a network with Bruce. See, the thing is, when Bruce got married, I should have never had anything to do with him. That should have been done by just common courtesy, or just understanding how a social order should be. It is not considered fitting for a married man to have any sort of dealings with another person if he's married to her. because it's going to cause speculation. Now, let's just say, for example, Bruce decided since he knew people in his community, right? And since I was the son of, the mother of his son, he was just going to help me out as some sort of whatever. Then he should have just left it at that. He wanted to sit here and take control over this, over that, no, okay, it doesn't work that way. Aside from that, that's not what happened. What I know is I moved here to Bakersfield back in 2000. Okay. I didn't notify Bruce. I didn't tell anybody that I was coming here. I just moved here by myself. And it was the kids of 533 as well as Bruce Collins and his family that got together and started manipulating my employment. Okay. And I resent it because everything that I put into my work, and that includes the early 2000s when people were spying on me and then they started developing their stupid competition. Okay. Which I resent. Okay. I was dealing with a lot, and I was starting to come to the realization that I wanted to help myself, and I wanted to develop that clear cut focus so that I could rely on myself, so that I would become an adult that did not have to worry about when things went wrong. I needed to rely on somebody else, whether that be me moving back in with my mother or them using my son, right, as me sponging off my son until I can get back on my feet. I never wanted to be a burden to anybody, ever, ever. Okay. And I totally believe in that, right? But these people prevented me from having jobs, from meeting my own people, from having my own network. I would have never, like I said, I would have never allowed myself to be a part of this network. What I wanted to do was I wanted to talk to people who were serious about like things like medicine. I wanted to talk to people who were into like psychology. I wanted to talk to lawyers. I wanted to talk to real people that I felt were going to add to my professional research. And yes, I'm serious about that. I only got stuck with the Collins and the Gordon people. Okay, and they wanted me to adhere to belief systems that I don't believe in. I don't believe in your stuff. Okay. And no offense, I don't believe in it. So leave me alone with it. Stop sitting here trying to enforce your shit on me. I don't believe it. Okay. And it's not to say that, for example, let's just say, for example, somebody believes in observing the Sabbath. Okay. But they observe the Sabbath starting on Friday night. This is what they do. And they've been doing this habitually for as long as they can remember. And it's a discipline. I would say that that is a form of discipline. It's a form of setting aside time, ritualistically doing something, connecting, whether you're just abstaining from something or maybe you're using prayer or whatever, that it is great enhancer for many people. Okay. But then they expect me to do the same things that they do. Because they look at me as somebody who is directly connected to God. And if I'm not doing it, does it mean that it negates what they're doing? And I'm saying it doesn't negate what you're doing. That is something that you use as a personal form of connection and it works for you. Okay. It does not have the same significance for me just because. Okay. Maybe because of my background, my whatever. That does not mean that it's not important to you. If it's still good to you, you still feel a connection, you get spiritual benefits out of it, then of course go ahead and do it. But is it a spiritual requirement? No, it may not. It's probably not because I don't need to do it. So please leave me alone. Okay, the message I'm getting right now is that people look at me as my thoughts. They look at my thoughts as being active. My thoughts are active. Okay. And that is important in order to achieve any goal. Okay. But you cannot achieve goals if you are dealing with obstacles. And my obstacle was the kids of 533. My obstacle was Bruce and his illogical arrogance, as well as his weird wife. Okay. My issue was the Bakersfield community thinking that I had some sort of family ties or something with these people. And not only that, the Bakersfield community not respecting me as an individual. Okay. Because I didn't deserve any of that nonsense at all. Okay. No, I'm not associated with the Gordon family. I'm not associated. And when I say Gordon family, I'm saying their spouses, their children, their children's children. I am a one. When you see me and I come into your place of business or I come into your store, your bank, your whatever, okay, I come as a single woman who has no family other than my son. Okay, I don't have anybody to fall back on. I don't have anyone I have to listen to. I am a woman who is all by herself. Okay, so please stop playing games. Okay, I don't need people being stupid and assisting human traffickers because that's exactly what they are. Bruce Collins is a trafficker. His wife was a trafficker. Terry was a trafficker. Rick was a trafficker. The kids at 533 were a trafficker. They all had their little plans and intentions for me, and none of it was something that was along the lines of what was in my rights. They were willing to violate my rights, whether that be to sell me out, not sell me, but force me into some sort of marriage or try to have some sort of control over my stuff. By the way, the Swan Song Manifesto, as well as Gordon's occupational engineering, has nothing to do with employers. Okay, other than me using those means to get my message out. Like when I make videos, the Gordon's occupational engineering, I make those for a reason. Okay, the message I'm getting right now is something about I make those for a reason. To number one, I've dealt with these issues myself. I've dealt with being a victim of human trafficking, which is one of the reasons why it's called Human Targets. Okay. And then I followed up with Vigilantes Must Go. This next video is called Religion in the Workplace. Okay. I do this as a way of introducing people to number one, my work ethic and my experience. Okay. Yes, I'm somebody who believes in having a better work environment. Why? Because I've dealt with unprofessional people who put me in hostile work environments. Not only did they put me in hostile work environments, they made sure my community environment was just as hostile. Okay. I have worked with some of the most unprofessional, there's no doubt about it, unprofessional people who were not deserving of their titles or any respect whatsoever. Okay. And so I know that I had enough knowledge to contrast my experience and know what they should have done right. Okay. So I'm making educational videos. Okay. Number one, to let people know my background. Okay. And this explains my weird work history. It also explains, it does. It explains why in the world I'm not working. Why am I at my age not working? I should be working. I should know. I should be the last person to ever find a job. Seriously, just because I am somebody who is not reliable. You could ask Jackie. Jackie, did Maria ever drop the ball? If you asked her for something, did she? Oh, she could say, I always turned my work in. Okay, and no, I could never. Nobody could ever say Maria used the excuse like she did. She called in sick the day an assignment was due. Bullshit. I turned it in the day before. Okay, nobody can say anything about my work ethic at all. Okay. Because if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. You know why? Because my word is impeccable. And I've always made it so that way. So when it comes to me finding a job, yeah, I feel angry because I'm always struggling to find a job. And once I get to the job, I have a hard time keeping it because they allow stalkers to come in. So this is the issue when it comes to people having the ability to have long-term employment, people who have the ability to stand out and make a difference. It's difficult to do that when you are working for companies that do not have these sort of things in place. In fact, they have management that sees nothing wrong with participating in gang stalking. They see nothing wrong with the behavior of certain people. And it's those are the keys that keep people retained in companies. This is what keeps long term employment. This is what gives people a reason to strive and protect their employment instead of the crap that we have now. So, like I said, if I was, I do not believe people should have children. Not in this world. I don't think children, it's a good idea to have children for anybody, not just me. Okay. But I'm just knowing that I'm somebody who, cared about my reputation as far as my professional ethic, conduct, and everything. And I find that I've struggled because what happened to me was I was sucked up in a network that I didn't ask to be a part of. And if it could happen that easily, why should anybody live? You could have a teenage daughter right now that you're getting ready to send off to college, right? And because she has classmates that have watched her and her successes, they're already calculating that they're not going to give her a fair chance. So it doesn't matter if she goes to college or whatever she does, what kind of improvement she makes in her life, what kind of advancement she makes in her life. If gang stalking, human trafficking is that easy, People can wipe out your daughter or your son's future just like that anytime they want to. Why? Because people do not have these sort of protective measures in place. And that's what I'm talking about. We have too much violations of employment law or arrogant or ignorance of it, and I'm tired of it. Okay, I struggle to find and secure employment, and I am the last person who should have that struggle. I'm the last person to have that struggle. Okay, like I said, I don't call in sick, and if I do call in sick, I really must be sick. Okay, and I'm somebody who always makes sure I offer my availability, meaning like I may not be in, but can I work from home? That way, I want you to know I'm still here for you. Okay, I've always made it very clear that I do not drop the ball. I've always made it clear that I get to work on time. I always make it sure that I turn my assignments in. I always make it sure that when people give me something, they don't ever have to ask or remind me. You know why? Because I find it frustrating when I have to ask people and then I have to remind them. It makes me feel like, am I going to get my stuff? I don't ever let people worry. I always make sure that the stuff is there on time. Okay. But I struggle to find a job. Why? Because, I was either trying to be trafficked to be Bruce's wife, which is disgusting. I would murder him. I'd kill his ass so quickly it would make your head spin. Okay. I do not ever want to be associated with the Collins. The message I'm getting right now is that people, that support is coming from everywhere, and I should be glad that I am being taken care of. I don't see the support. Like I said, being friends with me on Facebook is one thing, but I don't see it. I don't see it because I have been distanced from, number one, I know Sarah was working things behind the scenes telling people not to communicate with me. She also used churches. This is what disturbs me so much. She used the avenue of churches to get her message out about me. She was doing a lot of wicked stuff. The message I'm getting right now is that the community recognizes that this is an injustice, um, and that people do recognize that I didn't deserve any of that. I mean, for years, I have been perfecting my work ethic. Meaning, like, I do make it a part of my work ethic. When I work with other people in different companies, I've heard people, literally tell their boss, "Oh, I forgot," or the boss will say, "Hey, did you get that done?" And they're like, "Oh, I didn't do it." They'll sit there and just come right out and say they didn't do it. Okay, and that is an indication of, number one, why the hell should somebody like you be employed? Okay, so people drop the ball. People, disrespect their employers all the time with them not doing stuff, or blowing the assignment off, or coming in late, or whatever. Okay, and I have never been ever done anything like that at all. Okay, and yet I struggled to find a job. And what her excuse was, "Oh, Maria smokes marijuana." Okay, if smoking marijuana and I'm able to come into work early, I never miss an assignment. I'm the best damn employee anybody can ever have. Okay, and yet she wants to sit here and cause me problems. See, and see, this obviously is an issue of, somebody who resorts to, I call it professional bullying, or people who are genocidal in the workplace. Like, I don't respect people who go after other people's jobs. I don't. Okay, why? Because I know how difficult it is to, number one, get a job. And I understand that people cause people problems in the workplace. To me, if you have to compete in that form of manner, then you are, to me, I'm going to deem you as wicked, period. Okay, because I obviously, you don't respect that other people have to take care of their stuff. They have families to take care of, they have to support themselves, they have their own retirement to think of, or whatever, you know what I mean? And that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to build for myself. Okay, and like I said, I knew I didn't have anyone to help me, right? And no, I didn't think it was right for the community to think it was okay to try to merge me with the Collins family. Okay. And yes, people can do things to abuse you to the point of where you never want to see their face again. I wish if I had the ability to kill Bruce myself and I could get away with it, like me suffer no penalties of it, I would definitely do that. Okay, and I will kill him multiple times. You know why? Because that man is pure evil. The message I'm getting right now is that people recognize the fact that I use marijuana for my own mental well-being. Yeah, I have to. I don't have anything positive going on in my head. Everything in my mind is negative. Everything. Okay. I have a past that's negative with a bunch of rotten people in it. And that's one of the reasons why it prompts me not to sit here and look at, who was Bruce? Do I need to bring up the past life spreads and figure out, did I have a past life with Bruce? Did I have a past life with Lisa? Did I have a past life with some of these people? I'm pretty sure I had a past life with. Okay. And to me, since they were so evil, I don't need to know the intimate details of our relationship in a past life. All I know is that you screwed up this life, right? And I don't need to hear about people from my past life or what they're psychologically composed of. Because to me, you ain't nothing but evil and nothing I even want to know about at all. Okay, I don't want to know anything about your pathology back in the past or in the present or in the future or whatever. I do not like the people I had to be exposed to in this life as Maria Gordon. Okay, the kids at 533 were easily convinced of brainwashing. Okay, and like I said, by the time I was 18, I was more than tired of them. I want nothing to do with the Gordon family at all. Okay. And then when it comes to the Collins family, I already said it. I hate these people. I hate them. I don't like them. I want nothing to do with them. No, I don't want my son. At this point, when my son was old enough, I know that my family thought, well, Bruce's family, if they want to have something to do with Houston, you should let them have. And I already said no. Okay. Then I understood that they were going to have a relationship with Houston, and it was like, okay, I didn't agree with it, but whatever. That's my son can do what he wants to. Okay. And now I realize that they use this time to sit here and indoctrinate my son and then do things and touch things that didn't belong to them. You had no right to touch anything that belongs to me. Okay. Now, if my son is dumb enough to want to have something to do with you at this point, which I don't believe he is, I don't believe Houston really wants anything to do with you. The message I'm getting right now is that I am an ancient, mysterious soul, and that I'm somebody who I am. I'm somebody who makes the best out of life. You know what I mean? I don't see any value in anything outside of life, outside of my world. I don't see any value in it, especially if it could be trampled on by people like the Collins family. Okay, my work meant something to me, and it turned into shit when I found out you were associated with it. It didn't matter anymore. It just turned to garbage. Okay, and yeah, reincarnation, that has nothing to do with you. It's got nothing to do with you. Okay, I don't want anything to do with you. I will never accept the Collins family ever, ever. You know. And so anyway, what else am I going on right now? Okay, I'm proud to be this ancient, mysterious soul. Okay, I'm proud to be who it is, whoever, because I have a history behind me, and I am somebody who is known for writing ancient, sacred texts. And one thing people can say about me, I have always been a spiritual person, so I don't have any reason to be ashamed of that. See, what it is that you don't recognize my kind of spirituality in yourself because you're used to, church bake sales. You're used to looking at church as a form of getting together and conspiring with other people. And I look at it as truly being connected to the divine. See, there is a difference there. Okay. The message I'm getting right now is that um, people do believe that I have very strong thoughts. But like I said, what have I manifested? I haven't manifested anything really. I mean, and like I said, this is why I'm telling people they have unrealistic expectations of what CB Briganza as well as Maria Gordon can do. If I had the ability to, if I had all these abilities, I would be working by now. Okay. But obviously, what I came to understand when I would do readings on this issue is that I had people conspiring against me, which was not fair. I didn't deserve to conspire, and I needed to find out exactly what the issue was. And now I understand Bruce and Sarah. Okay. And something about Bruce and Sarah were trying to persecute me because of marijuana. Um, what I do with my life is none of their business. None of their business. Okay. The message I'm getting right now is something about my thoughts have strong manifesting energy. Um, I guess so. But like I said, nobody can say what I manifested. Nobody can say what I manifested, right? Nobody can say anything. And the reason why is because they know now that they screwed up. Okay, they were making more of this. Like when I said that, when I said meditation and stuff like that helped me, it did help me. I make better decisions now than I have in the past. You know what I mean? And yes, I understand. I feel everything out from every angle, everything. Okay, so me taking another path, a spiritual path in my life, was true. You know what I mean? But I think Lisa, when I told her this, she thought that I had some sort of special skill like Samantha on Bewitched or something. No, it doesn't work like that. Nor did I ever give the impression that it did. What I've been dealing with is a bunch of immature people who got the wrong information, who were childish, and because I was different, they wanted to challenge that, much like kids do in school. Like, well, you think you're so great, let's see how you do this now. And see, they really thought, and they did this as a group, but really what they were doing was a form of harassment, and they should not have done it. Okay. Like I said, I have the right to believe in anything I want to. Okay. Just like if I wanted to believe that there was some sort of spiritual power in that, like a little pebble or a rock that was outside my window, if I wanted to believe in that, as absurd as it sounds, I have the right to believe that. You know what I mean? You don't need to sit here and try to make fun of somebody because they have a belief different than yours. Okay, but really what they were doing is they were bullying me off of an exaggerated story that they themselves did not get right, and they wanted to sit here and cause me problems over it. I'm not ashamed to say that I have a different view on my spirituality. I don't really like talking about my spiritual views. Why? Because I feel as though because I have a right to them, they shouldn't be debated. It should have never been debated. You know what I mean? So the message I'm getting right now is that everyone in this community knows that they were responsible for what happened. Yay. And yet there we're sitting here, well, and see what's going on with my son. My son sitting here working his ass off and everything. This is the shame of the community. It's the community's fault. See, this is the reason why I don't respect a lot of people, because they sit here and impose themselves. You had no right to impose anything on anybody. Okay. If nobody had the right to punish me or try to penalize my son because I smoke marijuana, that does not warrant taking his money or anything else. And you know who that kind of logic sounds like something Bruce would come up with. Okay, because Bruce had a serious problem with facing responsibility. Okay, so no, I'm not. I'm angry that Bruce even associated himself with me. I cannot tell you how disgusted I am. Because, like I said, all he comes off to me as is a pig person. Somebody who is sitting here, wanting to compete against me, to downgrade me, right? Then have his own son disrespect me, right? And then he finds out, oh, well, she has the Swan Song Manifesto. And then he wants to sit here and try to critique me and tell me how to do it. I can't tell Bruce how much I fucking hate his ass. I fucking hate him. The message I'm getting right now is I feel free to be. Yeah, he was sitting here talking about my age, because he thinks I look younger than my age. He was trying to change the way that I appear and the way that I live my life. It's none of your damn business. And I believe it was probably Sarah that was probably doing that more so than Bruce. Whatever the case is, that is a couple that does not belong anywhere in my life at all. You know what I mean? And yes, Houston is tired of dealing with their shit. The message I'm getting right now is I am an ancient, mysterious soul. And that uh something about okay, what Bruce was really jealous of, which I think most people know by now, he was jealous of my career. He was jealous of my career, which I come to understand because I started putting this together. Okay, remember I talked about how Steve Murray did not give me any credit for after all that work that I did when I first got to Murray Family Farms. He actually thanked the team, right? And then I talked about how upset I was when I got to Laverne and Son and the CPA. I guess she was a CPA. She worked at Integrity Bookkeeping. She was talking to Rex, and she was like, "Wow, look at what Alma Maria's doing." And Rex didn't say anything, right? But see, what bothered me about that issue is the fact that once again, I'm being set up in a job where I have no growth potential. Where here I am, I'm in another job where I'm trying to create longevity. You know what I mean? I'm trying to let people know that, I need longevity. I want you to take my work seriously. Okay. I need to be able to be evaluated and be open and available for raises and opportunities. That's going to give me more of a stable footing. Okay. So once again, when I was working at Rex Laverne's place, I realized I was going to deal with another traumatization issue, much like Murray Family Farms, and I flipped the fuck out. The message I'm getting right now is that yes, reincarnation can happen by natural birth. Okay, it can, but see, I don't support bringing back anybody from my family. Okay, and if somebody within the community thought it was their, because I will tell you, there's certain people in this community or people in general. Okay, if you tell them that you don't believe in something or you make a certain choice, their immature behavior will be like, well, I need to challenge that, or let me plot and try to do something and scheme. I cannot stand those sort of individuals. You are truly something I cannot. I detest those sort of individuals. Okay, you are exactly what's wrong with that. You affect people's quality of life and you create nothing but problems. And when people do that, to me, it's a form of hate. I hate you for it. Okay. I don't appreciate that. No, I do not support my son getting married if that is not his choice. If he has made a choice to not get married, respect it. It is his business. It's his business. It's his choice. Okay. And I would say that Houston, has been a bachelor for many, many years. It's up to him to make that decision. Okay. Okay. And then people in the community, yes. So the community was conspiring against me, an innocent person. And they did bring my son involved in this. Okay. Everybody in the community, from my landlord to places that I shop to places that I work, were a part of this. And I know it. Okay. That means that my neighbors are aware of what was going. Everybody knows. Okay. And I don't talk to anybody in this community. All I know is that everybody was conspiring against me, against an innocent person. And what's going on right now is the fault of this whole goddamn community. It's all their fucking fault. Okay. And I'm tired of people inflicting their hatred on my son and, making him pick up the slack for what's really Bruce's responsibility. The message I'm getting right now is something about bud shops and them are glad that I want to work in the industry. I'm open to working in the bud industry. Of course I am. And it is an industry just like anything else. It is an industry just like anything else. What else do I want to say about this? Yes, people do recognize the fact that it is law. And also, people agree that my workplace education is truly the solution. It is a solution. It is a solution. Okay, this is why we don't have long-term employment. This is why people arguments escalate in the workplace. Okay, we have narcissistic bosses who take the liberty of destroying people's career and then manipulating things behind the scenes, whether that be withholding paychecks, stealing people's bank account money. I believe that it's these bad managers that are responsible for a lot of the homelessness that goes on just because they feel compelled to want to one up somebody. I don't, I honestly can tell you that most of the time I deal with my employment situations, I have felt fearful. This includes from anything from job interviewing to actually being on board. Okay. This is the kind of unprofessionalism that I've been exposed to. And many other people have been exposed to as well. They're not people who are able to keep employees for the long term. They're bad employers. And some of these kind of bad employers, they're very cocky and proud about their power, and they like to brag about it. Like I remember there's been times where I worked in places where there might have been some sort of argument. And I remember this very, 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 very well because it's happened so many times. So like there'll be a person who gets terminated, and I have seen where like maybe an employer, a boss, may have had something against this particular person for no particular reason, and they'll just bully them. And then they'll say something like, well, good luck getting the job, because they're going to sit here and give you a bad reference. And they brag about it. Okay. They brag about their unprofessional behavior. They brag about blacklisting. And what they're really bragging about is their ability to kill you. That's what they're bragging about. So when it comes to these sort of employers, I recognize them for what they are. They're uh, number one, inexperienced. Number two, they may be highly indoctrinated. If you are highly indoctrinated, especially when it comes to religion, okay. Like I said, I don't have a problem with people who practice religion, but what I've witnessed here and what people saw, okay, is people launching wars out in people. Okay, and if anybody thinks that it's okay to sit here and launch wars and have religious wars as a form of, how to manage your employees or something, then you're wrong. I mean, yeah, it obviously shows that, number one, your lack of understanding how American history is. Okay, I talked about, and then a part of this is being discussed in this book, this video, about people calling America a Christian nation. Yes, a lot of people here in the United States are Christian, but that is not a requirement here in this country. And a lot of people do not know the difference between law and their religion and all of this stuff. So this showed their ignorance. Okay. Trying to enforce their religion on me. I believe that they were using this issue, trying to force me to, about marijuana issues. I have the right to smoke marijuana. I have the right to smoke marijuana. It's not your responsibility to try to, penalize my son because I choose to be in this lifestyle. Meaning, like, I'm somebody who believes in the power of uh, marijuana. You know what I mean? Whether that be for healing purposes, for soothing me, for sleep, whatever. To me, I look at it as any other botanical herb or plant that can be used. Anything from, like for example, aloe vera, or a plant or something that you might use for fragrance to might alternate your mood or whatever. I look at it just as valuable as that, and that's my choice. So then you get this community, right? They want to. The community wants to feel more important than what they want. They really are. Okay. And so it's these little community groups that I highly resent, and I'm putting these people in their place. Why? Because for 12 consecutive years, people have been holding these little meetings, and acting as if I'm somebody who needs to be watched. I'm somebody, and really the fact is, everybody in this community should be watched and they should be imprisoned. This is a fact, because you were engaged in illegal activity. Okay. And no, I did not deserve to be treated this way. No, I do not deserve to be penalized. It's not for you to penalize me for smoking marijuana. And then sitting here trying to create financial hardships for my son. That's your fucking fault. The message I'm getting right now is that expect to regain time periods back. I'm hoping to be able to do that. Meaning, like, I should be able to pick up and from where I left off at Murray Family Farms and go on with my life, instead of me constantly dealing with issues of not having a job. Like I said, I should be able to find a job just like that. When it comes to being, if it wasn't for the kids of 533 as well as the Collins people, and if I was somebody who established a long work history, okay, number one, I probably wouldn't be looking for work because I would be employed all the time. Okay. I would not be the kind of person that would get on unemployment because I would go straight back into another job. Okay, I've dealt with periods of unemployment, long periods of unemployment, because I was forced into a network that I did not ask to be a part of. Okay, I hate the network. Okay, and my son hates the network too. Okay, the network to me is a waste of my time, and in really, like I said, if I was to formulate a network, I would formulate a network with people who, number one, were established themselves. That way, that they don't need to feel competitive every time there's an opportunity available for me. Okay, so the problem with it is like, for example, maybe Sarah felt jealous, and because she was a part of, yeah, I felt she was jealous, and she was sabotaging my opportunities, when in fact I would have never allowed myself to be in a network with her in the first place. See, there was nothing proper about that setup. Okay. That was nothing proper about that setup. I would never be in a network, especially a professional network, with number one, an ex, as well as his wife. Okay. So this community needs to fix their problem and know that they were in the wrong. And yes, you were in the wrong. Okay. And see, this is what makes me sick about this community is that they know that they're in the wrong, and then they can sit here and allow watching my son struggle for what they did. This is why I don't forgive it. Okay. So yeah, I'm somebody who tries to make sure that things are fair and just. And when I see that they're not, I can't help but speak up about it. And I've been dealing with their garbage for a long time. And I'm angry because, like I said, you know, my name was associated with the Collins family. Now remove my name from anything relating to the Collins. Do not mention their name in the same sentence as mine at all. And when it comes to reincarnation by natural birth, I do believe Houston is reincarnated. I am not somebody who condones him having any other children. Okay. So I don't condone it. Okay. The message I'm getting right now is that everyone in the community is responsible for all of this. I will not take any responsibility for any of it at all. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit there and act like, oh, any of this was my fault or internalize any of this blame. I knew from the very beginning I had nothing to do with this at all. At all. You know what I mean? And so, now this leaves me with what do I do? Where do I do with my desires? What I mean by desires is, well, I feel as though I did not get full accommodation within this community. Okay. And really, the fact is that I should be more proactive in things like, politics. Okay. So now that I have an interest in trying to correct problems, what do I do with it now? You know what I mean? Am I going to be treated fairly if I go to places like, the let's just say, for example, I went up to city council and said, I want a seat on city council. I don't think I'm saying is I'm tired of people acting as if, oh, well, no, I expect to be fully acknowledged. I expect people to acknowledge me, my presence, what I have to say. I do not expect to be gaslit. I'm tired of dealing with the bullshit. So if I choose to go into politics, what if I choose to run for an office in the future here in this community? You know what I mean? I should be able to be considered for that. Not to say that I would or wouldn't. I'm just saying is I'm tired of people acting as if, no, I am no longer going to let people put me in any other situation. You need to understand this, put this in your memo notes, and this goes for everybody here in the Bakersfield, California area. Okay. I am a woman all by herself. I do not have anyone to answer to. That is not rebellion. That is survival. Okay. I do not have the Gordons. I do not have the Collins. I do not have any kingdom spouses. I only have me. Period. Okay. And no, when I say only have me, that is not in any way me not acknowledging my son and the help that he's given me. I'm very grateful for that and I'm appreciative. Okay. But I'm saying is I am a woman who is able-bodied, and I am somebody who does not want to burden my son. Okay. I didn't want to burden my mother. That's the reason why I went back to school in the early 2000s. Okay. I didn't want to, and I certainly never wanted to burden my son. You know what I visualize my son doing? I visualize as my son doing in the 30s, whatever the hell he wanted to do. That means if he decided that he chose to find a woman that was going to be his wife, if he chose one himself, that does not mean somebody trying to throw some piece of garbage in our household and then trying to force my son to accept it. If he was to find somebody that he found acceptable to be his wife, then that is his choice. Or if he wanted to stay married and just hang out with his friends and play video games every Friday night, then that's his choice too. Okay, as long as he was saying hi to his mom on the weekends, that was fine with me. Okay, but I wanted my son to have his own life. I never wanted my son to be in this situation. And it is to this community that I have every right to express my anger, my frustration, and yes, even sometimes hatred to you. You know why? Because you stuck your nose in someone's business where it didn't belong. And you could sit here and try to use religion as an excuse, but you've proven yourself to not be of God by doing that. That's not to say that you don't have a relationship with God. That's not, and I'm not to say that you're not somebody who cares, but to use this as an excuse, it does not hold any water, especially now. You know. So anyway, is there something else I want to say before I wrap this video up? Yes, it is the community that's responsible for it. Yes, I am who I am. I understand people were trying to bully me. I know that I've dealt, and it could have been Sarah. Maybe Sarah could have experienced delusions. She may have thought in her mind, because some people, they could start stalking you and start believing that you are reciprocal. Like they're only stalking you, but they feel like maybe there's a way that you want them, or they might start fantasizing about you. Or like, for example, I talked about the person who was stalking Jodie Foster many years ago. Okay, he had delusions. He experienced delusion. He thought that by shooting Ronald Reagan that she was going to be impressed, even though that really doesn't make any sense. But in his weird mind, it did. Okay, so it was Sarah that was trying to bully me about my clothes, bully me about my appearance, because she may have thought that I wanted Bruce. And like I said, there's no evidence of me ever communicating with Bruce on my old Facebook account, on my new Facebook account, any email account that I ever had. Leave me alone. Okay, leave me alone. Stop stalking me, bothering me, badgering me on behalf of Sarah and some sort of imaginary whatever that never happened. Nor did I ever want anything to, I do not want my name associated with anything Collins related, whether that be Bruce, Sarah, Rick, Terry, Jennifer, whatever. I really want to get over this, okay? And I would say that Mary Gordon, my mother, Mary Gordon, okay, you know, rest her soul, but she was a foolish woman. She was a very foolish woman. The message I'm getting right now is, as per the universal forces, feel free to be whatever age or vibration I am meant to be every day. That means that if I choose to be somebody who, I think Sarah didn't like my personality because I was somebody that she never met before. Maybe Sarah was used to seeing black people behave a certain way or live a certain way or whatever, and she wasn't used to someone like me. But I am who I am, and I don't appreciate, being bullied by this woman. I am an ancient, mysterious soul, and I take pride in that. I'm proud of it. I am proud of it. This explains why I have the interest that I have interest in. Okay. I think it is interesting that, they have the ability to clone people. That's interesting, but I don't believe in the bloodline targeting. Okay. Because like I said, I don't sit here and, fixate or think about rival bloodlines or, I just don't think about that sort of stuff. And nor have I ever thought about, um, world domination or anything like that. Yeah, it's just not me to do that. I'm more of a pacifist. I choose to live a kind of I don't know, but I do plan on getting involved in politics in the next few, very recently, in the next few, in the near future, so I should say. And I expect to be able to be taken seriously and have full participation in whatever endeavor I choose to participate in. Okay, and that means whether I choose to be a part of city council or I want to run for an office, which I don't really have anything like that in mind. It's just the fact that I'm somebody who deserves to have my rights, and my rights were trampled on, and I'm here to reclaim them. Okay, and I want to make it very clear that this goes for my son too. Do not sit here and mistreat my son. Do not disrespect him. Do not sit here and try to, inflict your nonsense on him and act as if that's something that's justified. The message I'm getting right now is that I am famous, and yes, the Swan Song Manifesto has been viewed worldwide. And like I said, I feel as though because my Swan Song Manifesto does not generate any income, I feel as though it was made into way too big of a deal. Way too big of a deal. Like I said, it would be different if I was making shitloads of money off of it, but I don't get anything off of it. Okay. But maybe I think Sarah felt threatened because it did kind of indicate that I was somebody who was intelligent. Okay, let me wrap this up. Is there anything else I want to cover? I think that's it. I do know that the community is taking or at least acknowledging that they were responsible. You were responsible. Let me tell you what you're responsible for. You're responsible for the wrecking of my credit. You're responsible for my car being repossessed. You're responsible for perpetuating the campaign. You were responsible for human trafficking, assisting in human trafficking, trying to force me into marriage, trying to associate me with the Collins family, trying to associate me with the Gordon kids, trying to associate me with anybody. You need to understand that I am all by myself. I do not have anyone. Most importantly, you have bullied an innocent person. I had no idea of what was even going on. I don't get involved with married people. I don't get involved with, anything relating to polygamy. I am not somebody who is into the dating scene. I am somebody who's very focused into my own life. Okay. You've affected and harmed an innocent person and you had no right to. Stay out of my personal life. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video and I'll be back with another video sometime later. Take care. Bye bye.